how about that game, huh? It's going to be a different tone than the pregame show we had, huh?
Yes. I mean, it was a performance. It was a nice performance by McDaniel. You heard most of the interview with Safid, and one of the things that I liked about this game was that with Tyreek, I get that there's so much home run to his whole deal, but there's a lot of volatility that goes on because you're taking a lot of chances. You're forcing your quarterback to throw into crazy ass windows and all that kind of shit. Today, there wasn't a lot of those crazy windows. The craziest window was the one where Waddle came right into the middle of the field and then went back out again. When he went back in, that he got it right past that linebacker. That throw was so money. It's sick how good of a throw that was by Tua. People don't realize. But today, there wasn't that craziness. It was a little more sound. And I think that maybe that's why you had less mistakes too.
Yeah, and Jalen Waddle did his best Tyreek Hill impersonation on that 60-yard touchdown. That's what Hill's usually doing in this offense. Because I think about how often we've seen Hill just go beat the whole defense over the top and deep. And Waddle, you've seen a lot of the slants. And yeah, last year he had the high yards per catch. But so far this year, it's been a lot of the middle of the field, intermediate slants over the middle, and then I mean that was I'm pretty sure it's the first time this season we've seen really just deep ball, Waddle, that type of play, and after we've seen it so many times from Hill, that was an impressive throw you mentioned. So it was big just to see him step up because we talked about it pregame. He was the one guy for the most part that really needed to step up with Hill being inactive. But it's a team effort in replacing someone like that. But to be the number one and then have the performance he had, knowing that he would draw more attention and having the 142 yards, the long touchdown, then that was big to see out of Waddle today.
Yeah, and I love that they spread the ball around. I was talking about I want to see 7-8 receivers, and that's what they did. They got 8 guys involved, and I think that that's important. And I hope that more of that happens. And I know you're in love with this whole 2,000-yard bullshit, but I think at times why Tyreek is where he's at now is because you've used him so much. And maybe, he needs to be a little bit more of a decoy at times. He is getting the double teams, right? So then that should be freeing up other things. And that's where I need to see as a play caller, let's look for those kind of things because it should be able to set it up. Today, you saw all kinds of guys make plays, man, and help out the offense.
Yeah, and let's see Jalen Waddle have that same type of game even when Tyreek Hill is playing. That'd be nice to have your number 2 receiver do that too. So, be a little bit closer to a 1A, 1B, and then get everyone else. When you have, I'm taking a look here. Yeah, I mean the next guy was Durham Smythe with the 4 targets, but it was very spread out with Achane. Claypool late got in there. Mostert getting one. He really just had 2 and 1 yard, but Braxton Berrios getting in there. So you had to go to different guys. I mean, we didn't see Robbie Chosen really get into the action, but he was out there on the field. But
not checking with the referee. Not checking with the referee. Yes, we saw Robbie Chosen.
Yeah. It happened. It's going all over in the NFL these days.
Here's my problem with that. Okay, check the track record of the kid in Kansas City and check the track record of the kid in Miami. Don't blame the referees, bro. Enough's enough already. Sometimes the player has to be a professional. Okay, and Robbie Chosen has never graduated to being a professional. Okay, that's why he half-ass blocks, and he is what he is. And then the other guy in Kansas City, Kadarius Toney has got so much talent, bro. The Lord blessed him, and he just, that's all. So that's I hate when we lean on the referees for everything. Sometimes, you got to be held accountable for your own, but it is what it is. When it comes to Robbie Chosen, talk to me a little bit about Claypool and Wilson, because each got 2 balls thrown in this game. And is this maybe now a sign of things to come? Because this is not the kind of game you want to whip those guys out. So you really haven't shown much. I'm wondering if maybe in the next few weeks, there's Claypool sighting in a little bit more of a meeting.
Yeah. Now remember, everything we saw today is this offense when Tyreek Hill indeed is not playing. So will there be some sort of a little bit of mixing in some things? Maybe a little bit. Maybe that's the advantage of having a game like that. Is well, not only that you get Tyreek Hill healthy before you bring him back, but and without the burden of another game put on that ankle, but that you can see some other things working, and guys are forced to step up, and then now you can sort of take the weight off of them when Tyreek Hill is back in there, and then say, well, just keep doing that when he is in the lineup. So, but yeah, I mean, whatever we did see, whether it's Claypool getting involved, I think you didn't really see him much until the score got out of hand. I'd have to look back to see how often he was
you're
in.
right. You're right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, so I know Cedric Wilson is ahead of him on the depth chart, and that showed in the Tennessee game as well when Tyreek Hill was out. So, but yeah, I mean, you find these little bits and pieces of information when you see guys when they're thrown into games and situations, and then you see what you can take forward with you, even when you are at full strength.
AustinJackson, did you see him in the locker room? What's the deal?
Oh, didn't see him in the locker room. I felt just once you knew he was dealing with that oblique still, then at that point of the game, then don't bring him back. I almost felt similar to like Teron Armstead. Actually, yeah, that would have been a good question to get with McDaniel if it was similar to Armstead in Washington, where he was available, but just they weren't putting him into the game. So now it's going to be something to monitor. Obviously, he was being tracked throughout the week when the oblique injury popped up on the Wednesday injury report. So he was able to go, but then it's still flaring up within this game. So something that will be a key update to find out more about tomorrow.
Okay. All right, good stuff. You look at Mostert, bro. I mean, 20 touchdowns. What a season. I watched, most of the guys on that list get their touchdowns, Clayton, all that stuff. That's I mean, and the stat that Mostert has the same amount of touchdowns as the Steelers and the Pats, more than the Chiefs and the Panthers and the Jets today, 20-13. Dude, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay?
One guy. And doing it at 31 years old, and doing it where he had 19 career touchdowns before this season, and he's got 20 on this year alone at the age of 31. It's just remarkable, and in an offense where you have so many weapons, these are touchdowns that Tyreek Hill's got to get his lion's share, and Jalen Waddle has to get his targets, and he's. Although Devon Achane has been hurt a lot of the season, but he could have more if he wasn't splitting time with Achane when Achane has been healthy, like that Broncos game where both of them, what was it? Both of them had 4 total, or one had 3. I forget now, but I mean, it's just so impressive for this guy with a journey that he has had, cut so many times, undrafted. Finding a home in San Francisco when he was there with McDaniel as the run game coordinator and then offensive coordinator, coming with him to Miami, and then now having the best year of his career at age 31.
Did you notice, by the way, that there were, I think it was twice it might have happened in the game, and I think it might have been due to the formation that the Jets were running, that they actually had Ramsey follow the kid across the field. Did you catch that?
Garrett Wilson,
yeah.
Yeah. He was shadowing him, which is something we hadn't seen from Vic Fangio. So
not all the time. There wasn't all the time. It was only a couple times from what I noticed. It was, so if he wasn't on his side, they just bracket him on the other side. That's kind of what they did. But there were a couple times that I don't know what it was. I'm not smart enough to figure out the formation at the moment. I have to look at it all over again. But it seemed like there was a specific call that they would have. That was set up for it. There must have been some play that they saw that they wanted to make sure he tracked them for that play.
Yeah, I noticed them in instances where Garrett Wilson was on the other side and Jalen Ramsey stayed, and then there was really a lot of times where Ramsey went over to the other side that he's not usually.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
plenty of times. So. I asked him about it in the locker room post game, and he said he learned basically when inactives came out, once Xavier Howard was out, that's when they decided, okay, so in this situation now I'm sure there was some preparation for that, whether that happened or not, but then once Xavier Howard was out, then he was going to be shadowing Garrett Wilson a lot more. So that was huge in this game. And Wilson didn't have a target first half. First time he gets targeted early in the second half. Ramsey's right there to bat it down. So, and then when Wilson got some of his catches late, it was like zones. I know like he went off of them, and it was just he kind of like in the middle of the field of a zone, got a catch, got some yards after catch.
Also had a slightly more accurate quarterback, bad but slightly more accurate than the one they had in there, and maybe that's why Wilson was able to catch a pass for 2.
Yeah. But he was the reigning AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Zach Wilson was.
All right, listen, man. I'll say this. I know the Jets are terrible, and the Dolphins should have done this, but there was still a part of me that was nervous because I've seen this story before where a shitty Jets team comes in, and then the Dolphins start doing crazy shit, and all of a sudden you have a game, and you're like, yo, man, why are we in a game with these people? That kind of stuff. And that's what I give them credit, that today they put nothing in doubt whatsoever against the Jets.
Yeah, well, of course, because you didn't have to reach that far in the memory bank. It happened just 6 days ago, Monday Night Football, where a shitty Titans team came in, and you wonder why they're in the game for so long, and then you think you pulled away, and then you still give up a 2 touchdowns plus a 2-point conversion in the final 3 minutes. So, yeah, that was very fresh in everyone's memory, and, of course, I think the fan base was very nervous going into this game and now very relieved to see that they got over that. It's not – one game's collapse isn't going to lead to a season's collapse, at least for this week. It's going to be very challenging, these last 3 games, but at least this team got over that before you get to that big 3-game stretch that's coming up of the Dallas Cowboys, at Baltimore Ravens, and Buffalo Bills. So that's why this game was so huge.
All right, so you basically got through your little exhibition game, which was the Jets, and now the regular season finishes off with these last 3 games. So David Furones of the South Florida Sun Sentinel, Miami Dolphins beat writer. What is a successful finish for the Miami Dolphins in the last 3 games? And what is an unacceptable finish for Mike McDaniel and the Miami team in the final 3 games?
Okay, successful finish if you end up coming away with the number 1 seed through these 3 games. So whatever that takes, if it's
I'm talking wins and losses, bro. Wins and losses.
We'll keep it simple. Now there's 2-1. So 2-1 is what I would like to see out of those 3.
Okay.
If
you and I are in the same boat. They're 2-1.
Where if the finale against Buffalo, if nothing is on the line then don't worry about that one. But the 2-1, if all things equal and that one still counts for something, then you need to see that, meaning you do clinch the division, and then it depends where that one loss is, possibly I think under all scenarios, because the tiebreaker's at stake for you and the Ravens, the Dolphins and the Ravens at that point. So the one you could most the one you can most afford to lose would be the Cowboys game. It's an NFC opponent, and then the Ravens and Bills. There's so much at stake with playoff seeding and the potential divisional implications if there's something on the line week 18 for the AFC East, or just the number 1 seed possibly if it's with the Ravens. So, and you also have to think about the Chiefs. But let's just say if we're just talking games, 2-1, get 2 out of 3.
So 3-0, 2-1 acceptable, 1-2 unacceptable, 0-3 unacceptable. Is that what we're saying?
1-2, if it's a situation where the Bills game doesn't mean anything, then that's where I'm like, okay, all right, you're already locked in. But yeah, if all 3 games are meaningful at the time that they're played, then yeah, you don't
watching that Cowboys game. That Bills game is looking more meaningful every single moment.
I hadn't seen that score. Last I saw the score was 7-zip, and I just saw it now, 21-3. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So they're winning. So they're going to put all the pressure on the Dolphins. That game's going to mean something. That game's going to mean something, and that's been a thorn in Miami's side. So they need to exercise that demon. But for me, I think you and I are on the same page. So 3-0, 2-1, obviously more than acceptable.
Yes.
1-2, 0-3, absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah. If you finish 0-3, then you're definitely not winning the division at that point.
1-2 is no momentum either. That means you've lost 4.
Right, and then you have to hear all the same storylines about how you're not beating the good teams.
Right.
You're 10-4, right? And you haven't had really a win against a contender yet. So this is where you get now. So the Dolphins got over the hump of, all right, they're not going to collapse because of the Monday night game. That's what this game was. Now you need to establish that you can win against other contenders before you get to the postseason, where it is only contenders, except maybe you play like in the wild card round,
Right.
someone who's no good. But aside from that, if you want to go to where you want to go, you're playing contenders.
Yeah. And Baltimore plays San Fran next week.
Yeah,
They're gonna
and Jacksonville tonight. So that's a game.
They can beat Jacksonville.
Yeah.
They're going to get their asses handed to them by San Francisco. That I have no doubt in my mind that will happen. So they will lose next week. If the Dolphins win, okay, now you're at least record-wise even, and then if you take care of business the following week, then that's it, dude. You put yourself in the driver's seat and you move on. So, it's not too bad. All right, what do you got going on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, wrapping up coverage of this game. I'll be writing about Jalen Waddle stepping up in Tyreek Hill's absence, having his big touchdown. And then, we'll go into the Cowboys week. It's going to be a big one. And following up then later, early in the week on, obviously, AustinJackson injury, Tyreek Hill status, if he can come back and all that stuff. So this is when it gets real.
Got it. All right, follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. David, as always, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up on Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. There you go. And when we talk about Welt and Rheaume, these guys are absolutely amazing. Jeff Welt, big-time Dolphins fan. He's watching right now as we speak. Daniel Rheaume. These guys are absolute studs. If you're dealing with bankruptcy issues, I know people have been going into their 401ks like we haven't seen in years. And I know that people are really struggling right now. And if you're having issues with your credit cards and they're calling you and they're coming after you, please call Welt and Rheaume. They can help you out with your bankruptcy issues. If you have homeowner property damage, we've just had weather the last couple of days. Folks, condo damage, please call Welt and Rheaume. The new laws now do not put you in favor anymore, okay? The insurance companies, DeSantis, did a nice job giving them more of an advantage over us, the customer. So please call Welt and Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. Even if you're not sure you have a case, the consultation is completely free. So if you pick up the phone and dial 954-966-4646 and you ask for Jeff Welt, he's going to take the time to listen to your story. And then he's going to tell you, yeah, you've got a case. No, I'm sorry, you don't have a case because of this. Okay. And they're going to take the time to help you out. Please call them. They're in Hollywood. They service all of South Florida. You can call them wherever you're at. 954-966-4646.